Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast. We just turned into the afternoon, which is fun always. We're going to get started in today's training, but before we do, I like starting off with a tip for success. For those of you showing up early and on time, I really appreciate it. If you don't know this, first off, when you show up, it just makes me feel good that I'm putting the effort into the training. My team's putting the effort into the training. We thank you for showing up. If you're out there on something other than LinkedIn, at some point, come connect with me. Let me know that you're coming over from like YouTube or somewhere, so I go, oh, you're new to LinkedIn. Let me welcome you. Let me make sure you're kind of getting walked around. But if you're in LinkedIn in particular and you show up early, what LinkedIn does is pushes the word out to more people on LinkedIn saying, hey, we've got a GovCon training going on. Get over there. The training's free every single day. And so we want to make sure we're reaching as many people, and you're helping us do that, as well as, taking advantage of the learning yourself. So my tip for today, for those of you showing up early and on time, is to focus on the process, not on the goals. And so what I mean by this is, when we're looking at 2024, we'll set a goal. Hey, I want to bring in $1 million AAR or $5 million top line revenue, whatever it is, you're setting some sort of revenue goal that is the start to what you do, right? It drives everything else, because when you set a goal, then you lay out, how am I going to reach that goal? And as you're laying all that out, you begin to lay out, well, what's the process? What am I doing? What's my system every single day, every single week? Because that's what I can measure. I can't really measure the goal. And when you measure your activity, you're going to feel like you're accomplishing things. When you only focus on your goal, you kind of always feel like you're failing until you hit it. And even when you hit it, if you're like me, then you go, well, that was good. I should have set it higher or something. But if you focus on your system, if you focus on the process, and I teach process all the time, you're going to really drive towards success. But you and your colleagues will have a sense of accomplishment every single day, every single week. And that's what I want for you. Okay, that was just a quick tip to say thank you to those showing up early and on time. We're going to get started in today's training. And today will be fun because I'm actually going to be sharing my full screen. If I have time, I want to get in and do a little bit of live showing you stuff. So let me just share my screen and we're off to the races. Okay, so somebody in the chat, just let me know that you're tracking on that. And we're going to get started talking about top ways to find federal buyers. And what I mean by this is buyers who are actually going to lead to more contracts, right? That's the whole reason you want to meet people. Everyone tells us that, we need to get in and we need to talk with buyers, et cetera. And that's cool, but how do we do that, right? We think to ourselves, I hear people like me talking about it, people in the SBA or somewhere else, or even people who've been in business a while, they're all like, you need to get in there. We need to make sure we're getting you the how of it. And that's what really this training comes down to, right? I want to teach you how to get in, how to find buyers, how to find people to talk to so that you can begin to drive towards more wins. When you find these people and you start having more conversations, when you start building relationships in particular, this is going to lead to more effective business development. Business development is about understanding an agency. It's about building relationships, about identifying opportunities, right? Those three main things. And when you get in and you're talking to people, you're going to have much more effective business development. You'll have much more success as a business developer, but you'll also have, when you focus down on an opportunity, which is what capture is, right? When you focus down on an opportunity, you're going to be much more impactful in your capture efforts. You're going to be able to reach people and learn about stuff, maybe influence the opportunity before it gets to the RFP stage. And this is why you want to be getting in there. And this is why you need the how, and why I'm here today is to kind of give you some of that how. So today I want to talk about, first I want to make sure you just understand the roles. I always like going back to the basics and building on the basics to get to maybe a little more advanced tips. But the first thing is just understanding the roles of federal buyers and industry, right? I'm going to cover down on both of them. Once we talk about that, I want to give you some tips on how you can find people's names, right? So if I tell you, hey, you need to get contracting officers, well, that's cool. And that might be my phrase for today. That's cool, but how do I find their names? How do I even find the names of people I should be talking to? That's the second thing I'm going to teach you. And the third thing I'm going to teach you is tips for where you can find email addresses and phone numbers. I've done multiple trainings on this. I've done over 350 trainings in the last 2 years. I've done almost 1,000 videos all around government contracting on YouTube and LinkedIn, et cetera. But throughout this past year, I've really focused on covering down on tips that are really specific. For example, how to find emails and phone numbers. So I'll give you some tips and then you can dive into previous training to see more of that. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting, it's not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for your company, is to have repeatable, predictable revenue, right? Results and revenue. If you don't know this, we're a self-funded organization. We're not in any way affiliated with the government. It allows us to be able to speak very freely, but most importantly, sometimes people see how much great work we do, and it's self-funded. It's self-funded by me, by my customers, and by the sustaining members. And I want to say thank you to sustaining members. As a group, I want to say thank you. And then in particular, I just wanted to say thank you to Zaid for being a sustaining member. The sustaining members are the ones who are helping us reach small businesses from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Island and everywhere in between with all this great training. So thanks, Zaid. If he's in here today, say hi to him. Otherwise, just maybe tag him in the chat and say thanks for being a sustaining member, because he and other sustaining members are bringing this to you. If you haven't done this already, let him, buyers, me, and others in the chat know who you are. Put your company name into the chat. Put your core competency, 2 or 3 words. I can't state this enough. 2 or 3 words is more than enough. It's like dating at a bar or something. You don't walk up and tell me your whole story. You walk up and say, hi, I'm Neil, right? And when you have that, then you can start engaging in more conversations. So start with 2 or 3 words to just tell us what you do. Hey, we do cybersecurity. We do zero trust architecture. We do elevator services and installations, things like that. Then we can decide to kind of follow up. Make sure you're engaging in the community, not just trying to go in and take, right? But come in there and give. Sometimes a give is just a thumbs up. Hey, John. Hey, Jane. Those type of things. That's how you build your network. And this whole idea of building your network is similar to one I talk about building or digging your well before you're thirsty, right? So when you engage in the community on a regular basis, you're building a network that's going to be there for you when you need them. Just keep in mind, we've got training coming up tomorrow and Friday. So if you're watching the replay, I'm just talking about the lives. November 2nd, tomorrow, we've got training on why your proposals are not winning. And I'm going to try to give you suggestions on how to fix that. And on Friday, we're going to cover down on how to be a preferred federal market IT government contractor. So if you're an IT company, how can you rise above the 10,000 other IT companies within the GovCon space? That's Friday, November 3rd. Hope you can join us for that. If you are going to attend, make sure you hit attend. That really helps us as well. Okay, so we're going to dive into the training, the meat of the training. And I want to begin with when you think about trying to meet federal buyers, you need to understand the roles that each of them fill. And I don't know if I have it, I don't have it within arm's reach, but I have a book that I love reading, and I've been reading it for years and years in sales, and more than 10 years. And it's by this guy named Neil Rackman, and it's called Major Account Sales Strategy is the name of the title. The author is Neil Rackman. But in there, it's the first time I ever heard of this way of looking at our customers in 3 different ways. We can look at them as a focus of receptivity, which means that they're receptive to us and to help us learn about their organization, whether it's their agency or if they're a teaming partner, learning about their company, et cetera. But they don't really have a problem we can solve, and they don't really have any power to, award us a contract. But they're receptive. They want to help us succeed. And they think that we can also help them. So in an agency, we can help them with their mission. So the first group is focuses of receptivity. And some examples of those are small business professionals, small business specialists. In the military, it might be called, deputy small business program office, something like that, right? It might be the WOSB. It might be the PCR or the procurement center representative from the SBA. Inside the SBA, there's a district office, regional offices, and in there you can find all sorts of great people who are committed to the success of small businesses and can be advocates or receptive people to be able to help you navigate the agencies. So like business opportunity specialists, deputy or district directors, these are great people to reach out to as well. And somebody else I put in here just as an example, and I'm going to go through these different categories, but your LinkedIn connections, I just told you engage, right? This morning, before I came onto this training, one of my connections just said they got a new job, and their new job is director of contract activity, responsible for, I think they said 1,000 contract officers. I'm like, that's a good connection for me to have, because I don't sell to them anything, but I do want to go to them and get their information and bring it to you, right? And so having these network connections are great focuses of receptivity. I might reach out to a person like that and say, hey, can you help me navigate your organization? Could you introduce me to somebody? They're not going to buy anything from me, and they don't have any particular dissatisfaction I can solve, but they are willing to help. And so you want to begin to make sure you're building this relationship through your network connections, in particular on LinkedIn. And then small business owners, I put them down as focuses of receptivity as well, because small business owners are this path into a huge chunk of money, right? I can't remember what it is, but like $125 billion is awarded to small businesses as prime contractors. And I talk about that's a revenue stream you want to go in. So a focus of receptivity might be small business owners who are, doing 5 million to 40 million, being able to talk to them. They're going to remember what it was like to be a small business. They're going to remember what it was like to struggle to go forward. Hey, come on in. I'll introduce you to people on my team. I just reached out earlier this week to make an introduction, and I reached out to a small business owner just like that, who's doing about 40 million, saying, hey, can I make this introduction? They're like, absolutely. I'm not actually in the day-to-day, but I'm going to introduce you to the VP of growth or something, right? And so those kind of people are focuses of receptivity. They'll just help you move forward a little bit. So Neil Rackman describes the first group of people, or the first role, as focuses of receptivity. The second group are the ones who have the challenge, the problem, the need, the goals. These are called the focus of dissatisfaction, right? And it kind of makes sense. They're dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied with the current situation. Either there's challenges and there's problems they want to fix, or there's just things they don't have that they want to move forward, right? I'm a focus of dissatisfaction on a humongous sailboat. I only have a smaller sailboat. I want a humongous sailboat, right? I'm a focus of dissatisfaction because I'm a motivated person to try to get that. And so in the federal market, you can think about the program office as a classic focus of dissatisfaction, right? Whatever you sell, whoever you would be working with if you landed a contract, that's the focus of dissatisfaction. And so this program office is usually the one you want to be talking to. Another person or group within the government, and I don't want to go too far into this because we end at 12:30 every day, but you have a program office who's the primary focus of dissatisfaction. They're the primary need, but sometimes you really got to keep in mind that if you're looking at an IT department as an example, or even looking at the HR department, they have their own customers. And so those other customers of theirs are also focuses of dissatisfaction. Quick example is if you think about Microsoft SharePoint, which the Navy, for example, is rolling everybody out onto, the IT department has a focus of focuses of dissatisfaction because they want to make sure it's all running really smoothly. But the business lines, the business units, the people doing the missions, they use that tool that the IT department is offering. And so they have their own level of dissatisfaction. In sales, we also want to be reaching out to them. So keep that in mind. Don't just go to the people who would manage your project, but who would be the user or the beneficiary of the projects you're bringing in. Another group of people within the focus of dissatisfaction as it relates to small or large businesses are proposal managers. So if we go out to teammates for a second, and you're looking for focuses of dissatisfaction within teaming partners to build relationships with, then you can be looking at proposal managers who want to have good teams who can really cover down on all the task areas, et cetera. So when you meet these proposal managers, they're going to be able to really help you understand what the challenges are they're facing. And the last one is business developers and capture managers. And the reason I put them in dissatisfaction is because they're dissatisfied with the size or the makeup of their team to go after an opportunity. BD and capture managers want to win opportunities. So if they don't feel like they got the strongest team, if they don't feel like they have put together a good team that's going to win, then they're in that kind of dissatisfied state of wanting to build it up. Or, maybe they don't even know they're not fully filled up, and you want to get in and talk with them and let them know that, hey, we can make your team so much stronger because we bring in this experience, et cetera. So these people, I call them focuses of dissatisfaction, because when you talk to them, they're not really happy with where they're at and they want to go somewhere else. They're either not happy because there's a problem or because they have something they want and they don't have it at the moment. So you got focuses of receptivity, focuses of dissatisfaction, and the last group is focuses of power. And these are the money people. When you understand this, you treat all three of these groups differently. Your meetings will be different. When you prepare a call plan, an agenda for a sales meeting, when you prepare that call plan, it'll be different. It'll be different questions. And so focuses of power. In here, we're talking about acquisition needs. And so classic examples of people in this role are the folks who are in the contractor or acquisition shop. In the government space and in the industry, it's business developers and capture managers. And again, for these people, they can make a decision right then and there on whether you're going to be on their team. If you look at large businesses, it's the decisions made by business developers and capture managers to say, hey, I want you on our team, right? You got leadership who's got to approve it, but really those are your focuses of dissatisfaction. They'll drive the most influence to you making a sale of getting yourself on a team. And so you want to be able to track on them. And then small business owners, there's over 300,000 small businesses in the federal space. Small business owners are absolutely focuses of power. If you build good relationships with them, then they'll be able to bring you right in. And I always tell you, kind of aim for businesses that are fair enough size, bigger than you, so that you can actually, there's room for you to get in. So if you're a newer company, you look for a company that is 3 to 5 million and beyond. Then the small business owner has a need, plus they have the ability to just go, oh, you're in. Okay, so that's understanding the roles of the federal buyer. I want to go in and talk to you about how do you find names of these people. And before I go too far, if you haven't done this, do me a favor in the chat, just tell me which single, wait for it, which single agency are you trying to get into? And when I say an agency, I mean it this way. If it's DHS, it's not DHS, but it's FEMA or it's Secret Service or it's Coast Guard. If it's HHS, it's CMS or CDC or HRSA or something like that. Pick one single agency. And here's the important thing. If you pick one single agency, I will take the time to remember that or try to remember that. If you say a department or multiple departments, I will not remember it because I will see that you're trying to go everywhere. And I have people who are looking for people like you, but they're not looking for somebody who's going everywhere. They're looking for somebody who's also going into CDC. I just put together these two companies and they're both going into CMS, for example, right? They both want to go in there. They're like, this is awesome. Let's drive in there. That's the power of being clear with where you're trying to go. Just because you write one agency today in the chat doesn't mean you can't go after other stuff, but which one's your favorite? Which one are you really trying to get into? Put that in and let us know. So when you try to go after federal buyers, don't go after the whole government. Don't go after the whole DOD. Don't even really go after the whole Army, right? Or Navy. Pick a buying command. And so the first thing I suggest for you on how to find federal buyers' names, and also with teammates, is put together an org chart, right? And in that organization structure of OPM or commerce or wherever you're trying to go, and you go down into NOAA as an example, what program office are you trying to reach? When you understand the program office, it'll lead you to the focuses of receptivity that might be able to get you in there. It'll lead you to finding names of people who work for that program office. It'll lead you to contracts that have been awarded and identifying the contracting officers who are able to come in. So I put some quick examples here, and I'm going to try to, I got 13 minutes, so I'm going to try to show you a couple of demonstrations here, but these are some ways that you can find people's names, right? You can go on LinkedIn, and I'll try to show you that really quick, but you can go into LinkedIn, and there's millions of people who work for the federal government and who work for contractors, right? So like all of us, they're on LinkedIn. Many of us are on there, so you can have an unlimited amount of people to get started with. You can go to Google, right? If you have certain information, you can go search. An example might be if I'm looking for PEO Digital, I could type in PEO Digital. I don't know anybody, but I know that's the office I want to get into. Well, Google will give me some results and it'll get me started finding names. Industry briefing decks, I'll show you that right now really quick. And then you can go into FPDS. This is for contracting officers, focuses of power, SAM and FPDS, SAM.gov, right? When you go into these two tools, you can find a contracting officer usually, and usually you can find in FPDS their email address, which allows you to do more research. Or in SAM, you can generally find a person's name, email, and phone number if you get lucky, right? But so in SAM, it's at the bottom of an entry, and in FPDS, it's at the top. Go watch previous training I've done, or just go to these tools, and they have training on how to use them. You can go into DSBS. That's where you go to find the business owners' names, and that's where you go to find their phone numbers and emails. Almost every single small business, the point of contact listed in there is the owner, has their email, and has their generally a cell phone or something. So you can reach these people. It's not hard to find them if you begin to get good at the source, right? Where you can go to find them. And the last one is, I just give you a tip on websites. Large businesses, I built a target list. If you haven't seen our 7-step process, before you start calling people, you build a target list of 200 people. And we've built target lists of 100 or 200 people in one large business alone. And many times we'll start on their website, because inside there you can find all sorts of points of contact who, it's like, here's Zero Trust for Booz Allen or something. And you can kind of navigate through all their material to see names. and they'll say, John wrote this blog about zero trust for the government, and here's 5 of John's colleagues, and you click on them and you see other names, right? And so you can go to these large businesses and find information on their website. You can certainly do this on government as well, but for this example, I'm just using it for larges, right? And by the way, this all kind of goes into the first 2 steps of the 7-step process I teach, is research and then targeting and taking your time to find it. Let me switch over really quick to industry brief, and let me just show you this one really quick. So this is an industry brief. Hold on one second. Okay, so in here, I really want to restore those, but because I restarted my machine so I could save you. Inside of here, this is just one example of an industry day deck, and it's the Army Contracting Command's APBI, Advanced Planning Brief to Industry, right? So Installation Contracting Command. And so in here, you can come down. Actually, let me just make sure it is in here, and let me just jump right to the middle for a second. I don't want to show you specific things, but if I just jump right to the middle, right, I'm coming in and I'm going to begin to find people. So here they're talking about opportunities that are in here. So this one's a little loose. Let me back up. So I'm not finding the ones I wanted, which is kind of, it sucks because I restarted that, but I'll just have to come back to that. I've done whole training. Somebody put it in there on Industry Day, but every day I'm sharing on LinkedIn information that you can find out there on it. But let's use another example of how you find it, right? If I come over here and say PEO Digital, so if I come over here to say PEO Digital and I click on companies in LinkedIn, here's PEO Digital. And if I want to click on it, I'm able to find people who are working in here, right? So it's all tied together, and you can go in different ways. I don't want to spend a lot of time showing you, but I can look, like, let's just say right here, if I'm looking for employees who are here in DC. So when I pull it up, let me pull it right here. When I pull it up, I can begin to find people who are in there, and it bounces back and forth, but I don't even know who these people are, right? It's not so much whether I know them, but here's this guy, Bill, right? And it says he's in PEO Digital and he's a finance manager. I don't know who that is, and I don't know where it's at, but I'm able to find so many more people just within PEO Digital when I come in. You can do this same thing when you're trying to find names, right? We haven't got to the emails and phone numbers yet, but when you're trying to find names, you can pop in and find these people within an organization, and that gives you the names, which then allows you to go research phone numbers and emails. Let me give you a quick thing over here, just so you know, on our resources. So right here, we've got resources, the Small Business Specialist Directory. I'm going to go to the next slide in a second, but come over here and download this free. It's just a free directory. We put it together to make sure it was easy for you. And actually, we're putting out the November issue, this week. But in here is over 1,000 names of focuses of receptivity within the federal government. So if you haven't seen this, go download it. Okay, so let me come back here just really quick as we're tracking the time. So when you think about trying to find people's information and you've got this list of names, the way you do targeting, the way you try to find names and then emails and phone numbers is you begin first with the all the names that you have, and then you can pop into, my favorite place to go is Google, right? Just popping into Google and searching. If I've got somebody, let me use a quick example again. Let me come back really quick and show you. If I go to FPDS, remember I said FPDS, you could go in here and search for stuff. And I'm not teaching you how to use FPDS, so I'm going really fast. But if I just come in here and say date tab, I just want to pick the last year. So if I just pick one of these opportunities, I'm going to sort it by this. So all I've done is found some opportunities. I just wanted to be able to find it. What I'm trying to show you is how I find names. So if I come in here and I click on the view, I can see this is a great example because here, this person's name is hidden. And I'm about to show you the hardest one. Generally, I get a first and last name and an email, right? Or an email address, which makes it really easy. But this person, it's harder. So I don't know who they actually are. I'm going to take them and go over to Google here. And the first thing I'm just type that in. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of, I know I want to get rid of HHS. And let me try that one really quick. And I'm just going to put it like this. As soon as I find it, I'll let you know, like, as you look at it. So this stuff is not actually working out. I'm going to try one more. Cool thing about live stuff is occasionally your system just doesn't work. Come on. Usually my system's working so much more. So if I come down here and look at contracting officer at HHS, right? Here's an example of somebody who's in here, and I can begin to find it. This one here, I think actually HireGov, you probably need a subscription to, right? So, but I don't know if you noticed, right when I clicked on it, the name and number comes up. These people aren't that hard to find when you come in and you start looking for opportunities. So if I back up and I choose one more just to demonstrate, if I take, so that was HHS, that's Department of Energy. Right here, I'm going to click on an opportunity. I just want to find it. So here's two people, right? If you can see in the top right there, I've got Shannon Adams and Maria. So if I look at Shannon, just to take that, and I bring Shannon over into Google, and I say DOE Shannon Adams, so that's business development and training. Oop. Actually, I don't see her pop up right away. So let me do one more way and show you. It's funny when you do live trainings, you feel this need to apologize for the internet speed, but you know, I don't control the internet. Okay, so if I come in here, I'm able to begin to see that this is with the National Nuclear Administration. I'm still looking for Shannon though. So here's Shannon admin in there. It's not showing. So sometimes it gets just harder and you got to work on it. But you start diving in, and I don't want to use all my time, but here I start getting emails, but I'm looking for the phone number is what I was looking for. And it's not really popping up. Gus, maybe you find that for me, but you can go into Google. I use this all the time. And we can point you to other training, but I can use FPDS just like I showed you. When I use FPDS, I found Shannon and the other lady, the other person, and they're both in the contracting shop. I can do the same thing on SAM. If you haven't done this, right, you can go into any opportunity within SAM that you wish you could win or you could get in. Remember, I said, find a program office, then find the contracting people related to that program office, you know, that tend to support it the most. And then if you go into SAM, you can build this list, this target list of names, emails, and phone numbers by going into number 3, SAM. Another way to get points of contact, both government, but mostly industry, is going to industry days or events that are held by the government in particular. And there's this list of who attended. And it's often awesome. You can get in, and sometimes they'll give you just the names and the organization. Other times they'll give you the email and the phone number. And this is a great way to build it up. I show this a lot on my training about how you can go into them. You can go into websites for large businesses, right? If you go into, I said Booz Allen as an example. So if I said Booz Allen, let me just see if I can do this click really quick in the time I have remaining. But if I come in here, up on the top is this word contracting. I'm looking for contract vehicles, et cetera. So I can come down here, and so right here, I'm looking at GSA schedules, GWACs, et cetera. And so if I click on this agency MAC, and let's see if this will work for me. Some of these are expired, et cetera, but it doesn't really matter. If I click on this show details for Eagle, generally when you come down, you can find points of contact. Here's the teaming partners, but what I'm really looking for is right here. So I just went to Booz Allen's site. I'm able to find the information about them. You can see that the contract expired a while ago, but here's people. When you're looking for information, you can find this, especially for largest, on their website and in agencies. I can go to agencies, and some agencies have entire directories, which is awesome. And then the last place I already mentioned was DSBS. If you go into DSBS, you will find the owner, the point of contact, et cetera. I know I'm rushing here, but I want to give you one last tip. Go to contract vehicle holder lists. These lists of everybody who's on STARS 3 or everybody who's on Seaport Next Gen or whatever. When you find those contract vehicles that are in the agency you're trying to go, you can find the contract holders and points of contact in there. It leads you towards people by giving you a name, a number, and an email in there. So here's what I want you to remember. When you're trying to reach out and to find people and get in, just be patient, right? It was a little embarrassing for me that some of the things I was trying to show you live, it just wasn't working and I didn't leave myself enough time, but that's fine. But if I was patient, I would have found those names, and that's persistence goes right with that. And when you're reaching out and you're starting to build those relationships, remember, just be professional about it. For all of us, just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is ending on time. I'm done. I will see you in the next training.